Call all Yahweh by Shimon Mashek woman like Yahushai, brother Nakamaya, with O.F.I only for Israel. Lord willing, coming to y'all with another milk and meat, mighty hour, power hour. I've been talking to a lot of brothers and sisters lately, and it's one thing that's been really, really going on heavy throughout Yasha'Allah is being able to stay in the spirit. Remember, stay in the spirit. Your salvation depends upon it. So, Lord willing, through the spirit, it's a quick milk and meat, a couple precepts about staying in the spirit and how to stay in the spirit. We be going through a lot of different trials and tribulations, a lot of times that you may be irritated, annoyed, temptations, tempted, going through a lot of different situations and experiences in this captivity, and especially in America. In America, it's a lot of different, just wickedness, a lot of things that could get you off of your deen, as they say. Hey, get you out of the spirit, Salakia, more important, get you out of the spirit. So I want to bring out a couple precepts and just remind you, stay in the spirit. Your salvation depends on it, right? Let's get to it. First, we're going to go to the book of Galatians, chapter 5 and verse 16 through 18 says, "This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." And we know the flesh, man, will have you doing all type of lust, whether it's fornications. Hey, some people lust after lies and lusting after material things. And now you're in a situation that you jammed up because you're thinking in a carnal way, right? For the flesh lusted against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Now, a lot of people, especially, may get this precept out of context, saying, okay, well, this is saying that, hey, if you walk in the spirit, you don't have to keep the law. No, it's saying if you walk in the spirit, you're not going to be under the law, in the sense of there's no law against walking in the spirit. There's no law against the fruits of the spirit, right? And we can get that as well. Bear with me. We're going to get that in Galatians 5 and 22 through 23. Once again, let me get this right quick. We're going to go Galatians 5, 22 through 23. Right? And we see, and this is going into the fruits of the spirit. Another way to stay in the spirit is to practice the fruits of the spirit, right? Galatians 5, chapter 5, verses 22 to 23. But the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. So going back to what we just brought out in that Galatians 5 and 16 through 18, hey, if you're walking in the fruits of the spirit, if you're showing love, joy, peace, long-suffering, we got to remember, hey, thank Yahweh that the Most High is long-suffering, because if he wasn't, he would have been destroyed us, right? So gentleness, goodness, faith, praying for faith and increasing in your faith. That's how you can stay in the spirit, of having a faith that the Most High is going to get you through whatever you might be going through, right? Meekness, temperance, against such there is no law, right? Moving on, let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 142 and verse 3. Book of Psalms, chapter 142 and verse 3. It says, "When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. In the way wherein I walked, have they privily laid a snare for me." So, sometimes your spirit is going to be overwhelmed in you. You might be going through manifold temptations, and you might have things that's going on at your job, your place of employment. You may have a certain type of marital issues or relationships issues, and you may be going through certain temptations of drug addiction, and you may just be lacking faith. You may be doubting. You may be doubting in this truth. And you may be reading the prophecies and say, you know what? Is Yahweh gonna really send Yahweh Shai back? You know, I'm kind of keeping the commandments for no reason. Hey, you want to be able to reason through the precepts and be able to also realize when you're on when your spirit is being attacked, when you're being attacked spiritually, so that you can pray and call out to the Most High and ask the Most High to give you that perfect spirit of peace. Ask the Most High to give you that comfort so you can walk in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So these are things that you must do, Lord willing, to stay in the spirit, right? And we know too, I'm gonna grab this Ezekiel 36 and 27. We also know and realize that a part of being in the spirit and a part of being able to stay in the spirit is to know the promises that the Most High God has preordained, and to know the rewards of keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and have faith in Yahweh Shai, right? Let's get this Ezekiel 36 and 27. 1 second. Bear with me. So Ezekiel 36 and 27 says, and I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. Now we know that the context of this is going into the new covenant as well. You know how the Most High will put his spirit into us. And this is a way to walk in the spirit. You know, you got to cry out to the Most High and actually pray. Hey, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, give me the spirit and cause me to walk in your statutes and to keep your judgments and to do them, right? And we know in the book of James, it says we should not just be a hearer of the word, but also doers of the word, right? We're going to grab this quick precept in Romans 8 and 1. So the book of Romans, chapter 8, verses 1 through 2. And it says, there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in the Mashiach Amalek Yahushua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit. So you don't want to be walking after the things that pertain to the flesh as well. You know, the lust, strifes, envyings, jealousy, backbiting, you know what I mean? All type of, even the love of money, you know, chasing that what they say, the almighty dollar. But we don't believe that the dollar is almighty. We believe that Yahweh is almighty. So you want to be able to walk in the spirit, and that will enable you to cast down all type of wicked imaginations, right? All type of temptation that you may experience in this world, right? For the law of the spirit of life in the Mashiach woman like Yahushai has made me free from the law of sin and death. And this also goes back to when we brought out that Galatians 5 and 16, saying that you're not no longer under the law if you're walking through the spirit, because you're going to be free from the law of sin and death, right? Because you're not going to be, we know the wages of sin is death. So if you're not living and walking in a life of sin, then ultimately, Lord willing, having faith in the Mashiach woman like Yahushua, you'll be free from transgression, from that transgression. Let's get Ephesians 2 and 1 through 5, right? And once again, remember, stand in the spirit, right? I think I spelled Ephesians wrong. 1 second. Right? Stand in the spirit is vital for your salvation, right? Because if you stand in the spirit, you're going to keep the faith of a Mashiach woman like Yahushua. You're going to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and you're going to constantly endure and overcome, right? Ephesians 2 and 1. Now, actually, 1 second. It says, and you hath he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins. At one point in time in our life, we were dead in sins and trespasses. And we were walking according to the ways of the flesh. We didn't know the Most High God. And we didn't even love the Most High God because we wasn't keeping the commandments. Where in time past, she walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. And we don't want to have that spirit where the Most High puts that spirit on you, where you disobeying and where you rejecting his knowledge, where you rejecting the truth, where you're rejecting keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You don't want to have that spirit, right? Among whom also we all had our conversations in time past, and the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as unto others, right? So, you want to make sure that in this truth, you're putting on that new man. Look, it says, but the Most High, who is rich in mercy, for his great love, wherewith he has loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Yahushua. By grace you are saved. So, we want to pray that the Most High keeps us in that spirit of life, to quicken us, to take us from the ways of unrighteousness and to bring us back into the perfect mind, into the perfect peace of following the Mashiach, woman like Yahushua. And the way to do that, I love this precept in Psalms, right? In the first chapter, right? I'm going to go through verse 1. I want 1 through verse 5. So it says, blessed is the man that, the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, right? So this is telling you you'll be blessed if you don't do these things, right? But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Now, this is a beautiful, practical way of staying in the spirit by meditating in the law, by storing these precepts up in your mind so that you can have these as your different weapons of warfare, because we know the weapons of our warfare aren't carnal, but are mighty, paraphrasing, and pulling down strongholds, right? Or anything that may hinder or arise itself to try to hinder you from keeping your mind meditating on the precepts, right? Because if you're going through certain type of temptations and lust, you should have precepts stored in your mind that when you go through certain experiences, you can just call the precepts, cast down those wicked imaginations, and replace those wicked thoughts with thoughts of righteousness, right? And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. Everything happens in due time in his truth as well. So, we got to pray for endurance. So another thing about walking in the spirit is praying for the spirit of endurance to continually to overcome. If you fall short, doesn't say a just man may fall 7 times, right? And we know that 7 goes into completion. So don't get discouraged, Lord willing, if you fall short, right? Because all praise to the Most High for grace and mercy that you can repent, right, sincerely, and you can continue to be built up in his truth. So, Lord willing, you can have that endurance, have that perfect peace, and continue to endure and strive to overcome, various faults. It says, his leaf also shall not wither. And we know in this context and a similitude that this leaf also be the doctrine, right? The doctrine of life. This truth does not wither. So if we continue to be built up and to be nourished with the word, right, then also our leaf will not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And that's what we're looking for, like it says in the book of Joshua, the first chapter, to have good success, right? To have that prosperity. Right? I got a couple more precepts. I'm gonna get this Ephesians 4 and 22 real quick. It's the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verses 22 through 26, and it says, another way to walk in the spirit is you have to change that old person that you used to be. You can't get down doing the same things that you was doing in the world and think you're going to continue to walk in the spirit, right? So that you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, right? And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. And this is a powerful precept when you break it down, because when you renew something, you bring it back to life, right? You make it back fresh. You're renewing your mind through the spirit, right? And we know the words that we speak are spirit in their life, right? And that ye put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth, speak every man truth with his neighbor. And we know the truth is the law, according to Psalms 119, 142. For we are members one of another. Be ye angry and sin not, and let the sun and let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So just giving you some practical things to stay in the spirit. Me, I used to deal with anger a lot. You know what I mean? Things will really upset me, and next thing I know, I'm having wicked thoughts. Next thing I know, I want to put my hands on somebody, or next thing I know, now I'm out the spirit because I'm angry. You have to do these things by staying in the spirit and meditating on these precepts to be able to govern your mind and to govern your thoughts. And that's how you can renew your mind and govern your mind, which ultimately allows you to be a new man after the rudiments of Christ, because you're walking according to righteousness and not according to emotion, right? And with that, I want to bring out actually two more precepts. Let's get this Proverbs 6 and 16 real quick. I'm gonna go through 23. All right. It's now remember, this is about staying in the spirit. So Proverbs 6 and 16 through 23. These 6 things doth Yahweh hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, which goes into not being humble, right? What goes into arrogance, a lying tongue, which we know, hey, thou shalt not lie, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart, which we know the heart is the mind, that deviseth wicked imaginations. Right? You want to be in a position, Lord willing, where you don't sit around and meditate on wickedness, right? And meditate on things in which have no profit, on things that are vanity, vain thoughts. Right? You don't want to be sitting around devising wicked imaginations, right? Feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren. Here's the point too. My son, keep the father's commandments and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thy heart, keep them in your mind, and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. So this is going into a way to stay in the spirit by meditating on the law. Hey, when you wake up, you should be meditating on the law, statutes, and commandments. When you go to sleep, hey, when you walk and when you're at work, hey, when you with your significant other, right? When you with your children, hey, when you just hanging out with with your brews, hey, sisters, y'all should be staying in the spirit. There's a lot of young children, y'all should be staying in the spirit. These are ways, Lord willing, by Shem Yahushua, that we can stay in the spirit and overcome death and destruction by being able to walk in the spirit, right? And I want to finish. This is actually one of my favorite precepts. This 2 Corinthians 10 and 3 through 6, right? Get this real quick. And this is, about casting down wicked imaginations as well. It says, the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 6. For though we walk in the flesh, and we in these mortal bodies, right? We're in the flesh. We do not war after the flesh. This is a spiritual warfare we in, y'all. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. We're not talking about physical swords and knives and things of that nature. We're talking about spiritual weapons, right? But mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds. You might be battling with certain strongholds, certain addictions, right? And those addictions are spiritual things that can confound your mind. And then because your mind is confounded through these addictions, now they're manifesting themselves on the physical plane, right? You may have a mental addiction to cigarettes, for an example, right? So now that your spirit isn't built up to be able to cast down those cravings in your mind, now you go off and you physically act on the things that are in your mind. So you got to start with the spirit by being renewed in the spirit through the word to conquer your thoughts, to then help manifest righteous actions, right? And that's why it says, verse 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. So anything that's going to try to trump the knowledge of the Most High, is going to try to make your thoughts think and put them above this knowledge of the truth, those things you got to break down and you got to cast away, right? And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahweh Shai. And when you think about something being in captivity, right? It's conquered, it's captured, right? It's under subjection. So you want to bring all of those wicked thoughts and imagination under subjection to the true doctrine of light, right? Of life, which is obedience to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. So you got to think about what revenge is. Normally, when you hear revenge, it's in the context of payback. So you want to be able to pay back all of the wickedness that you've done with righteousness, blot out transgressions. So your balance of righteousness should outweigh what you've done in wickedness by Shem Yahweh Shai Abaratazah, Lord willing. So remember, your salvation depends on your ability, Lord willing, to stay in the spirit. And don't get it twisted. Staying in the spirit means that you are having faith in the Mashiach Wamalak Yahweh Shai. That's a part of staying in the spirit, right? So all praise to the Most High. Hey, Lord willing, this was edifying, milk and meat, right? Some things are milk, some things are meat, but all things, all things, right, shall be in all these words, and I'm paraphrasing, man shall not live off bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh, right? So from that perspective, you want to stay in the spirit, you want to stay nourished and fed up, right, and edified through the word, and you want to be able to, as you walk, as you talk, right, as you sleep, as you congregate, whether you're at work, and whether you're at play, and no matter what you do, you should be storing these precepts up in your mind so that your mind can be renewed, salaki, and transformed, right? So, Kwam Yashala.